So we're starting. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this webinar. It's a webinar designed to guide Nigerians resident in Nigeria and generally all over the world on how to invest in property or real estate in the United States, even though you're not resident in that country. I did say good evening, but I understand and I know that we have people tuning in from the United States, from Europe, and possibly from Asia. So I will say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. But wherever you are in the world, I can assure you that this is a first-class webinar, a veritable information sharing platform, which is powered by Real House Communications Limited. Real House Communications Limited are the publishers of Castle's Lifestyle magazines and Highbrow Living magazines. And both are published on the web at www.castles.com.ng. That is castles.com.ng. Okay, so enough about Real House. This is more about investing in the United States. And we have with us three distinguished speakers who are experts in their field, especially if you look at it from the experience point of view. We have with us Mr. Remi Oshikanlu. Mr. Oshinkalu is a Nigerian-born real estate developer who is familiar with the Nigerian experience and as well as the US, where he's a developer. So he's a developer both in Nigeria and in the United States. So his experience straddles both countries, and he has quite a lot of information to share with us. Is possibly the most ideal speaker to Nigerians in Nigeria on this topic. His developments are branded as Shalom Park, and he has the one in Nigeria is in Ibejuleki. And I must point out that as he is looking to interest Nigerians in the United States market, he's also interested in marketing Nigeria to Nigerians in the diaspora. And that is what Shalom Park development in the Bejuleke is about. He has a very interesting interview in our December edition of Highbrow Living. If you go to our website, you'll be able to download it. It tells about his background, his motives, who he is as a person, and who he is as a developer. I really would commend you to read that particular interview. So Remi, you are most welcome. Maybe you can unmute and say hi.
Hello, thank you very much.
Great. And supporting Remi is Tiana Harrison, whose CV is extremely extensive. So I will not go through it all. The key thing to know is that she's a life member and top producer of the Atlanta Realtors Association multi-million-dollar club. And she will speak to buying investment properties and properties generally in the United States and managing such investments. Tiana, you're welcome.
Good evening or morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and thank you for joining. So glad to be here.
Your background is impressive. As I mean, the actual background to the webinar is interesting because that's such a model like looking forward to just behind you. And then we have Filipp Kirik, who is currently serving as Vice President of National Lending at Finance of America Commercial, and he has extensive experience in originating mortgages for offshore clients like our audience. Filipp, could you unmute and say hello? Hello, Filipp.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, great. So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everybody. And I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. One or two questions I wanted to clarify before we go into the next stage where we would get the speakers to come on. Before we call on Mr. Oshinkalu, we would be showing a video which speaks basically to what the connection between Nigeria and Nigerians in Nigeria, the United States, on the, should we say, urgency of looking at dollar-based investments. One or two persons had indicated that this was not the right time to get dollars out of Nigeria. But just to speak to that very quickly is that we have easily 24 billion United States dollars in domiciliary accounts, which basically are not doing anything. And on the reverse side, companies like Remi's and Highbrow Living are also working to get Nigerians in diaspora to bring cash into the country. So it cannot just be a one-way, it can't just be one-way traffic. And so what we're trying to do is to ensure that Nigerians in Nigeria can also get advantage of the United States property market. So I'll be sharing a video now on how
what I wish I knew in 2015.
How Nigerians in Nigeria can basically invest in properties in the UK.
What I wish I knew in 2015 instead of 2025, that investing in US real estate could triple my returns. Imagine this. Back in 2015, 20 million Naira was equivalent to $100,000. Fast forward to 2025, and that same 20 million Naira is worth only $12,500. But here's the game changer. Invest $100,000 in US real estate back in 2015. And today it's likely worth $200,000. At today's exchange rate, that's a whopping 320 million Naira. Now, why Birmingham, Alabama? It's a gold mine for real estate investors, with top neighborhoods like Mountain Brook and Highland Park offering sky-high returns. Birmingham Real Property Development Inc. tailors opportunities just for you, ensuring maximum profit. Listen to this. Our clients are raving about their returns. Success stories and glowing testimonials prove that Birmingham Real Property Development Inc. delivers big time. The clock is ticking, folks. Don't let this opportunity slip away. Call 404-545-9355 or visit www.birminghamrealproperty.com now. Secure your financial future with real estate in the U.S. and watch your wealth soar. Invest smart. Invest now. Unbelievable returns await you.
Right. So I hope we got that. And so we'll be asking Remi to share his experience with us at this time.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Davies. My name is Remi Oshikanlu. And as we said, we have a global audience. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We may even have people calling in from Australia because we got feedback from people all over the world. I want to start by thanking Real House Communications and the publisher of Castle Magazines and Highbrow Living, Mr. Dikwa Davies, for putting together this wonderful webinar. And I also want to thank all the panelists, Filipp Kirik, that I know very well. We speak probably 3 times a day at the very least, as a lender that really helps to get people the funding that they need, both in the US and for people in diaspora. And then, of course, Tiana Harrison, she's a uh, a legend, as we would say in in Atlanta. She's doing business at the highest levels, and we're working together on several projects. And so, thank you for taking out the time. We were just teasing each other. She's in Atlanta, and it's snowing in Atlanta, so that's not usual. But back to the topic for today. My name is Remi Oshikanlu. I'm a attorney by training. I grew up in Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria. I moved to the US, and I'm into real estate development. The video you just watched was the speed was a little fast. So I'll break down the essence of this webinar. In 2015, when President Buhari became president of Nigeria, the exchange rate was 200 naira to $1. So 20 million naira at that time was 100,000 US dollars. Fast forward 10 years, 2025. If we take the average of what the US dollar to naira is, it's about 1,600 naira to $1. That same 20 million, 10 years after, is equivalent to $12,500. You have to pause right there. $100,000 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, was 20 million naira. Today, the same 20 million will give you $12,500. This is why, as Nigerians, we must protect ourselves. There was a comment which Mr. Davis had addressed where they said, oh, we should be talking about bringing money to Nigeria. It's not a contradiction. The world is a global village. And as he correctly said, our company is investing heavily in Nigeria through Shalom Park Estate in Nigeria. However, if you are in Nigeria and you've bought your first home and you have different investments in Nigeria, it will be wise for you to diversify your financial portfolio. We all know that real estate is, I call it the realest investment. And if you look at the interview that I gave in Highbrow Living for the December edition, I was talking about even from a religious point of view, the first thing God created was real estate. And he created the earth, and then he had us in there, and he had Adam as the property manager. And so that's the way you must look at it. And I gave an analogy of Nigeria, 923,000 square kilometers. That's the size of Nigeria. At independence, we were about, I think, 50 million or 55 million people or less. And today, Nigeria has over 200 million people in that same space. So demand and supply will tell you that real estate values will go up. However, we have several factors that work against us if you put all your investments in just Naira. So if you bought a 20 million Naira house 10 years ago, and even if the value of that house went up 100%, that will take you to 40 million. If it went on 200%, it will take you to probably 80 million or whatever it is. But that same rate of inflation or whatever you would call it is not balanced out when you look at the devaluation of the currency. And so if your 20 million will now give you $12,500, let's flip the switch. If you bought $100,000 property in Atlanta 10 years ago, that property today would probably be worth $175,000 to $200,000. Now, $200,000, if you look at it with the same exchange rate, will be 320 million naira. And let's even say the value of your property did not increase. Let's leave the property value at $100,000. You would still have 160 million naira. So for you to be able to invest in Nigeria, if you love Nigeria and you're patriotic, you have to diversify your portfolio to put yourself in a position to be able to take money back to Nigeria. So it's not taking money out of Nigeria, it's investing to make sure that you are stable. Secondly, many Nigerians today send their children abroad to tertiary institutions. Now, if your child was studying medicine and it cost $100,000, that will be 20 million naira, let's say per year for a medical school or for university if you have two children. The average tuition here is about $50,000. But when the naira has been devalued, where 20 million can only get you $12,500, then you put your children and your future in jeopardy. As an investor, it is important for us to have wise investments and to make wise choices. And so, what we are saying to you, and a lot of people have come to me, I have a lot of clients, obviously, in Nigeria that have invested in the US through our company. And many people in Nigeria and people abroad don't realize that you have the opportunity to take loans without being a US citizen or a US resident. This is where Philip is going to speak to. What we are saying to you is that there may be a house for $200,000 that you're interested in buying. You have $100,000, and then you lose out on the opportunity of buying that house just because you don't have all that money. And even if you were going to get a loan, the loans people were getting were these short-term loans that would be too expensive. But the good news is that there are lenders in the United States of America that will give you loans to help you purchase these kinds of properties. So, in essence, what I'm saying is you must hedge against inflation, you must hedge against the devaluation of the currency, you must protect your family's future, you must use real estate as a vehicle for investment for your retirement. Can you imagine? And I'll give you a quick scenario. The first property I bought in Atlanta was 23,000 US dollars. It was a foreclosure, and I bought that property. And about 6 years later, when that property was sold, it was sold for $168,000. The capital appreciation in the US is just amazing. One of the adverts we were talking about, we specialize in high-end homes and investment properties that are more affordable. In Atlanta, I had clients that bought houses for $75,000, and when they exited those houses, they exited over $200,000 in less than 10 years. And these are facts. If you go online and you look at the prices of homes 10 years ago and look at the prices of the same homes today, you would see that it is just an amazing way to build wealth. If you are able to build wealth in dollars, then you are able to take those funds and go back to your native country, whether it's Nigeria or the Caribbean or anywhere, and begin to invest and do even better things. So today I'm not going to talk for too long. I will be open to take questions at the end of the program. But the key is there's a pathway. There's a pathway to make money. There's a pathway to invest in the US. There's a pathway to do the right thing. What you need to do is ensure you have a developer that is reputable and that you trust. Ensure that you have professionals like Tiana, who's a licensed real estate broker and a company that has the like say 7 stars, not even 5 stars. You have a lender that is been doing this for years and is reputable and has integrity, and you can be on your way to having good success by investing in the US. People have questions about taxes, and do you have to be a citizen, and is there a pathway to get a green card if you do these things? We will get to those in the question and answer session. So I'm going to hand over to Tiana. Before she comes on, there's a video that will be played. And then after the video, Tiana will be able to talk to you about a product that we have, which is Shalom Park in Buckhead, and also how you could buy properties in the United States and how you don't get your fingers burnt by dealing with professionals. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining. Thank you. There is no audio. There is still no audio.
So I suggest we just go straight to Tiana. Could we stop sharing the screen, please?
Hello. Again, I'm so glad to be here. My name is Tiana Harrison. I am an associate broker with Engel & Volkers in Atlanta, where Engel & Volkers is a global firm with over 1,000 locations in more than 30 countries and 5 continents. So again, I am honored to be introduced to the Nigerian market or wherever you are across the world. So glad to be here. Thank you, Mr. Davies. Thank you to Remi and also Philip for joining me on this panel. And let's get into it. So the highlight of what I want to speak on, is, of course, is Shalom Park. But prior to that, just wanted to give you a brief on me. Again, I am a part of the Atlanta Realtors Association. I've been a part of it for the past 11 years, and in that time have received multiple awards for being a multi-million-dollar top producer. The money is a part of it, but it comes last. So I like to develop lasting relationships with the people, with the professionals, with the clients that I am in contact with. And so with that, I'm so glad to be here. And though it's hundreds of people on this webinar, hopefully, we can develop a personal relationship, and you can garner information from getting to know me through this. The Atlanta market is a hot market. As you may or may not know, it's a hot market because Atlanta continues to grow. And so with the market being the way it is, and with having that demand, then you know that the appreciation is there. So the more we grow, the more buying powers investors have. And when I say buying power, I'm talking about your financial ability. So if you're able to afford to purchase homes in Atlanta and have everything lined out, then this process can go smooth for you. And if you don't have all of the answers, of course, I am here, Remi is here, and Philip, he's going to be able to guide you through the financial portion of purchasing real estate. So I've had questions. Um, why buy in Atlanta? Again, it goes back to the population growth. I have, and excuse me, because I need to refer to my notes because I can be long-winded and I want to make sure that everybody gets their turn on this webinar. So you may see me refer back to my notes so that we can stay on task. Population growth. Atlanta's population is growing, which has led to increased demand for housing. You have job growth. Atlanta's job market is one of the fastest growing in the country. So when it comes to that, Atlanta's diverse economy supports real estate. So if you wanted to invest in real estate and look at the numbers, that demand is there. Atlanta's housing market is more equitable than many other parts of the country. So when you look at cost of living, the cost of living in Atlanta is lower than a lot of other parts of the U.S. I saw in the video where Birmingham, Alabama was mentioned. Well, we're neighbors. So there's a demand for being within our market, as well as, there are places within that market. When we get to Shalom Park, you will see that Buckhead is an affluent area. So investing in Shalom Park would garner you a return on potential. It could be a much larger return than you would even believe. So we're going to talk about that. But rental demand, Atlanta has strong rental demand and low vacancy rates. So those are things that are vital when it comes to purchasing in Atlanta and investing. There are tax benefits, as well as the home values in Atlanta have been rising at a steady rate, outpacing the national average. So these are all good things to jot down, to note as to why Atlanta, because that is a question that I'm sure that a lot of people may have. Why is Atlanta such, and it's diverse. So the diversity, the population growth, the potential for appreciation. We have not broken ground. Well, we've broken ground on the Shalom Park development, but the potential for appreciation by purchasing a pre-sale home, you can potentially benefit from that, just because when you go into the demand of the properties within the development prior to it, it will substantially appreciate prior to it being being built, because of the customizations that sometimes it can be involved and the things of that nature. And so when it comes to investing in Atlanta, of course, I have seen where people have done it, where they've tried to dupe the system, but make sure everything is aligned. And in preparing to purchase homes in Atlanta, you want to make sure you have an outline of what to do first. Of course, you want to make sure you have someone who is reputable, who understands the market, who understands the conditions and are knowledgeable. You want to have a lender or a financial or some way to understand the financing portion of it. And then you want to understand the process as it pertains to it. So in getting into how do we go about purchasing a home or purchasing property in Atlanta? Those are some of the key things. You want to get pre-approved. Philip is going to go through that, or you want to get qualified or talk through the financing portion. He's going to go through all of that, and I will introduce him shortly. But after that, you want to outline the things that you need in order to purchase property. What is important to you? When it comes to what is important to you, what type of investment are you making? Is this a rental property? Is it a secondary home? What type of investment are you looking to purchase? There are so many different types of properties and ways to invest in Atlanta. There's multifamily. There are attached residential communities such as townhomes, single family communities, just so many different things. You can property management. And so I have experience within each of those areas where I would love to guide you, family, friends, loved ones through the process of being able to do so here in Atlanta. As far as Shalom Park is concerned, Shalom Park was highlighted and featured in Highbrow Living, and so I wanted to definitely walk you through what that will look like and why that is such a great opportunity for investors who have joined this call. So, Victory, do you have the images or the visuals for Shalom Park, Buckhead, that you can bring up? And then I'll go through some of the finishes and features that we are expecting for that development. Okay, so that's okay. So if you, and I'm sure everyone picked up their copy of Highbrow Living, where our property, where Remi the developer, and then we have our design team, Archie Bolden, and our builder, Cablick Enterprises, coming in to collaborate on this exclusive development of 12 townhomes, a 12 townhome collection, where we're bringing luxury modernism to Buckhead. And we're so super excited because if you're familiar at all with Atlanta, this is a great area to invest in, to raise families in, to enjoy the Southern living. So it's over 2,600 square feet, 4 stories. It has 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and that half bath could be a powder room, a guest bathroom. It just doesn't have the full shower or tub capabilities. So we have 2 interior luxury floor plans that include high-end finishes, white oak flooring. To me, it is really serene, the interior design of this development. So grab your copy of Highbrow Living if you already haven't. And if not, once this webinar ends, then we will be glad to provide you more information on it. But again, it has the accent lighting, a primary bedroom with with customized robe, primary bathroom with a luxurious spa feel, very inspired by just urban opulence. And so we are super, super excited. And I keep stopping because I can hear my heavy Southern accent as I speak to you. So I hope that that doesn't distract anyone, but I am Georgia through and through. And so again, we are excited for Remi to bring Shalom Park to the Buckhead, Atlanta area. And if you have any questions, we will be glad to provide you the specifications on what is happening here in Atlanta. Outside of that, I have worked with high-end buyers from politicians to executives to sports and entertainment celebrities, as well as people who are just ready to invest. So from one spectrum to the other, to the end of the spectrum, I have worked with all types of buyers, investors, sellers, and not just them, but also builders, developers, architects, and contractors who are ready to make this dream a reality for their clients, for my clients. And so if you are ready to invest in the Atlanta market, right now we have Shalom Park, which is available for pre-sale starting right under $2 million. And again, Atlanta is a growing market. Atlanta is a growing market, which means that investing early may garner you the results and profits that you're really, really looking for to build that wealth and decrease the gap when it comes to what our wealth, what wealth we have that we're bringing into our individual countries, our communities and such. So happy to be here. Hopefully I did not ramble on too much, but I'm not used to just talking to a screen, but I'm excited about being, again, introduced to the Nigerian market and having so many people on the call. I can answer questions individually or direct message. Please feel free to go to tianaharrison.com where you can see the load of what we have available at England Volkers. We are a global firm. We are actually the only global firm in Atlanta, which I love because then we have the outreach, not just digitally, but we are in other countries, other continents, with so many different real estate shops where we're able to dive into the culture and the markets of different places. And so that's what I enjoy about it. So with that being said, one of the first steps or the next steps to purchasing real estate would be to speak with a lender or speak with someone who is in the financial area of real estate who is able to guide you through the market and purchasing. And Filipp Kirik is also on this panel. So we want to make sure I give him the opportunity to speak to you about those intricacies. So thank you again. Welcome, Filipp.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So thank you, Tiana. And thank you, Remi, for having me. My name is Filipp Kirik. I am currently the Vice President of National Lending for Finance of America Commercial. I have been in the commercial financing sector for about 8 years now, and loving it every day, learning more and more. And my ideal goal in life is helping people and watching people grow and expand their wealth. And real estate is definitely one of those key pieces of expanding and growing your wealth. So just again, a little bit about Finance of America. We're one of the nation's largest lenders for commercial properties, and commercial residential properties, meaning single family homes, 2 units, 3 units, 4-unit properties. And that's what I'm mainly talking about. And I've helped thousands and thousands of clients all across the United States get properties. I've helped a lot of foreign nationals from all over the world get properties. And a lot of people think it's going to be difficult and it's going to be hard. What do I do? And really, the bottom line is it's really easy. And the fact is, you really don't need much. There's only the most important thing you need is a United States-based bank account and a company that you start in the United States. That's it. That's all you need to get money from a bank to buy a house. So it shouldn't scare anybody off. And I'm here to help anybody that has questions and guide anybody in the right direction. Like Remi and Tiana said, teamwork is the most important thing. And having a really, really good team to guide you is the most important thing, I think, in real estate. And that's what I've also learned over the years. So again, there are specific programs designed for foreign nationals, individuals who do not live in the United States, that live outside, that want to invest in the United States, and not have to buy properties with just complete cash. They'll have somebody else to help them purchase the property alongside. And again, real estate is really the best investment, I think, in the United States, period. The only restriction to lending outside the United States is all of the countries that are basically listed on the OFAC list that are sanctioned. So some of those, like Afghanistan and Iraq and, some of those countries where there's warfare and just bad stuff going on, that's where we're going to have a problem finding somebody some money. But other than that, again, it's pretty easy for Nigerians to acquire property in the United States. So just to kind of go over some maximum and minimum amounts, the maximum loan amount available for any kind of foreign national would be about $2 million. So that would be the maximum that any bank would lend you on one single transaction. And in these cases, let's say, for example, like the property in Georgia, at a $2 million purchase price, you would be able to get financing where a bank would lend you 70% of the purchase price, and you would put down 30% of the purchase price. And that's it. You would be able to only put down $600,000 and have a house that's $2 million that you could make money off of, that you could rent out and rent it to somebody for a very high amount on a monthly basis that covers all of your monthly payments, like your principal, your interest, your taxes, your insurance, everything that goes into owning a real estate property, and make money on it every single month, and also gain the value that it does from just being there on a daily basis, and over the years becoming more and more valuable. So just again, to make it pretty easy, the only thing that's required, and what I would suggest for anybody that's really looking to, invest in the United States, is first off, open up a bank account, and put some money in there. Most companies look at the money needs to be in an account for at least 2 months. Once it's in an account for 2 months, there's no questions of where it came from. What is it doing in here? That's it. That's how it works. And also some limits that you should know is, for foreign nationals, most lenders will lend you up to about $5 million total, or about 6 loans, period. So, and I work with not just Finance of America. I have many other companies that I work with and deal with as a consultant. So I'm able to point clients in the right direction if they've exceeded their limit with one company and we need to move on to the next. So again, I am here to answer questions. If anybody has any, I'm happy to. But again, I want to make this short and sweet. Investing in the United States for Nigerians or anyone outside the United States is very simple, and you should be excited about this opportunity. So thank you again, Remi and Tiana and Real House Communications, for having me. And yeah.
Thank you very much, Philip. The questions are building up, and we'll try to aggregate them so that we can send them to the relevant participants, relevant panelists to speak. But in the meantime, Tiana did discuss or try to explain a bit more about Shalom Park, and we have the visuals now. So if my colleague Victory can share the visuals, then Tiana can just speak us through as they come up. So the next visual, please. So this is the general advert. If we can move to the right, yeah.
So you see that the visuals are going fast, but I will try to speak just as fast. There's a rooftop terrace where there will be an appliance layout where there is a grilling set. There is also, it's 4 stories. There's a private elevator included with each home. As you can see, the exterior is still very modern, contemporary, with the garage, 2-car garage doors. There is visitor parking here as well. That's a big deal when you're in the inner city, because there is hardly ever any parking, especially when you get into some of these smaller townhome communities. But there will be a gate entrance with the guest parking at the rear of the community. Very private, very intimate development. And let's see, because I'm seeing the same visual. So you have the contrast between the light and the dark exterior finishes. I'm hoping we can see some of the interior finishes, because this is what blows me away. So your entrance level is going to be on the bottom level. And as you can see, I did mention that there is a gated entrance, which is nice for privacy and security. Victory, are there any interior photos that I can... So that is all. That is the rooftop terrace where you see the couple taking a selfie, which is nice. And right behind them is a grill with a sink. These are just for promo purposes. And so there, it may be a little bit more extensive than this. I think that's what we're planning for. But you have the terrace level flooring. On the interior, you have the white oak flooring. I think I mentioned that. It can be designed with furnishings to your liking, but again, there are two interior luxury floor plans that we are offering, and both are upgraded. One comes with different, of course, different features. These and the different features are due to there being interior units and then there being exterior units. There are 12 units in all. The end units are going to be our second personality units. So I guess we didn't have the interior photos to share, but they are also in the December, is it December, Mr. Davies? The December publication for Highbrow Living, if you check that out. And we are also able to send those to anyone who has interest and want to see this beautiful development. Again, there are high-end appliances, high-end features, flooring, customized robes. And when I say robe, I do mean like a full walk-in closets with shelving and such. The builder was very thoughtful. Our design team has been very thoughtful when it came to the design of this development, because we want it to be exclusive. We want Remi and Nigeria to have their imprint on the Atlanta market, especially in this affluent community. And so we're excited that it is where it is located. It's in a prime location. It is around a ton of retail, shopping, restaurants, parks, schools. There's a Mercedes-Benz dealership owned by the there, and I'll say this with there's a Black-owned Mercedes-Benz dealership across from this development, maybe a half mile down the road. Again, it just has so much to offer right here in the Buckhead area, very close to Bagley Park. Again, you can walk to restaurants or drive a few minutes to restaurants close to interstates and highways, and approximately 30 minutes from the airport. So those are all attractive features when it comes to having and building a development in Atlanta. And so you want to get in early as far as pre-sales are concerned, because once the buildings are up, prices tend to go up when the buildings are erected. So if you have any questions, please feel free. I am here to answer them all. Thank you, Victory, for pulling up those visuals. And hopefully, if you have any interior, just let me know so that I can go through those as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tiana. We would be sending PDF copies of the interiors and about Shalom Park in general to all who registered. So apologies again that we couldn't quite get those visuals up as required. But we've gotten to the point where the questions are coming in thick and fast. And I'm going to put this to Remi to start. So there's a Remi to start, and then to all the panelists, and you would see why in a moment. So Remi, they want to understand your connection between of the Shalom brand, Shalom in the United States, Shalom in Nigeria. How does it work? And to all the panelists, there's the question of the incoming president of the United States in the shape and form of Mr. Donald Trump. And the question is what impact he would have on investments like this. But Remi, if you can start by explaining the Shalom Park brand, and then maybe you can speak to Mr. Trump's emergence.
All right, thank you again. Hope everyone can hear me. Thank you, Tiana, Philip, and Mr. Davis. So, it's sort of, anything you do, you brand it. You brand your business so that, I used an example. If you end up in whatever country in the world and you find a Hilton hotel, you know that there's a minimum standard that you would expect at a Hilton or at a or Sheraton, and so that's what branding does. It gives people an assurance that once you see that name, once you see that sign, there's a minimum standard. But the name, interestingly, and I believe my sister will be on this call. My sister's a medical doctor, and she had 2 clinics in Louisiana, believe it or not, in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And the name of her clinic was Shalom, I guess Shalom Children's Clinic. And so when I started the real estate, I'm a man of faith. I prayed and I was looking for, I'm saying, what name would I call this development? And the name that came to me was Shalom, which means peace. And so that's just where the name came from. And I would say it was influence. She didn't tell me, but I stole her name. I hope she doesn't demand some royalty back from me now, but she's been very supportive of everything that we're doing. So that's where it came from. So we branded it Shalom. And when we started building in Nigeria, our goal in Nigeria was to build something comparable to what is in the US. So if you came to Shalom Park, Abijo, Lagos, in Ibejuleki, you would see the way that we have tree-lined streets, we have attention to detail, the way we build our homes, high quality, high end, beautiful houses. Then we have the Shalom Park in Buckhead that we're developing. We have Tiana as the realtor. We have um, Archie Bolden, the interior designers. We have Kablik as the builder, and then we have Jones Pierce. So again, it's a collaboration of people with the same sort of vision. We're saying that when you come into a Shalom establishment or a Shalom community, you would have peace, you would have quality, you would have opulence, you would have that kind of, so that's what we're portraying. So we have Shalom Park, Buckhead. We have another development in Georgia called Shalom Park Townhomes, condominium townhomes in Valdosta, Georgia. Valdosta, Georgia is a university town. It's also home to the Moody's Air Force Base. So we have 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath townhomes there that are also for sale. So we have this really high end Buckhead properties just shy of $2 million. And then we have the houses in Valdosta that are $250,000. And then we have properties that we're selling for $100,000, $120,000. So that's where the name came from, and that's the brand. We want you to see that brand and have the assurance that you're getting high quality. And we're going to start a development again in 2025 that is going to be called Shalom Park Mansions in South Fulton. We're building 9 houses. These are going to be single family houses that we're just working through the planning and development at this stage. On the issue of President-elect Donald Trump, I think that the beauty of America in the last 200 plus years is that it's a democracy. So whether you are for Trump or against Trump, he has 4 years to do what he has to do. But if you go back to how much houses were when Obama was president and when Biden was president, you will see that the trajectory is still up. America would always be great. America will always, by the grace of God, continue to do well. I think President Trump, however, I think he's going to lower interest rates. I think that there's going to be a huge demand for buying properties. I think that if you do everything legally, and I think maybe the question is like the immigration issue. It's not an immigration issue, it's an investment issue. And from what we know about him, he's pro-investment. He's pro market forces. So I would say that there's no better time to get into American real estate than now. Remember, to this date, the reserve currency of the world remains the US dollars. So as long as you are able to make money in dollars, you will be able to have a secure investment anywhere you are. And America is a country of laws. Like Tiana alluded to, do the right thing. Don't go through a fly-by-night. Go to somebody, you saw something on the internet. Go to people that have a reputation, people that have. Phillips Bank is one of the largest in the US. Tiana's company is one of the largest in the world. And I'm Nigerian American, so I'm able to bridge that gap for everyone. So it's a wonderful time. The real estate is the way to go. America investment is the way to go, in my opinion. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Now the question of Donald Trump, when we ask, when we pass questions on to Philip and to Tiana, we would dearly like to get your input as well. Now, Philip, you are the money man, and so and Nigerians are bottom line people, all right? So you have a fair number of questions. I understand you've been answering privately.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. I'm just trying to answer them as well.
Okay,
right?
yes, but
Yep.
if you can speak to them so that everyone can get you know, some information. I'm going to reel them out.
And I'll answer them as you read them. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So what are the typical interest rates for Nigerians seeking financing for US properties? I guess the hidden aspect of the question is that, is there a differential in terms of interest rates that they will get as opposed to a regular US citizen?
Yes, of course. The interest rates are typically about 1% higher for foreign nationals versus US based clients. That is just basically risk, right? Everything is based on risk assessment. And, you know, somebody that's not living here is a little bit riskier than somebody that's not, because they have to rely on somebody else to manage their property. And that's just, you know, the way the cookie crumbles. But 1% in the grand scheme of things is not really a big deal when you look at the big picture, where you're earning money every month on your investment, plus it's appreciating in value on a daily basis. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. So yeah, so typical rates, you know, for foreign nationals currently are anywhere between 8 and 9%. And for US based clients, currently they're ranging anywhere between 7 and 8.
Right. Now, this is a question that has some incredulity to it, because they're saying, can Nigerians finance properties without a US credit history? Can you just...
Yes, we don't need any credit history. There's no credit score required. Literally, all you need is a US based bank account and a company that's you know, you own, that's created in the state where you would like to invest. And the best way to create a company is to reach out to an attorney. You know, just you can Google real estate attorney Georgia, or Tiana or Remi can point you in the right direction as well. But that's the easiest way to do it. And again, it takes 24 hours to create a company. You know, there's a lot of individuals that invest that create a new company for every property that they buy. It's that easy.
So my assumption would be that it would be the property is the collateral, because I think that's what the chap is trying to...
Correct. Yes, the property is the collateral, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, so you've answered the question about how to, you know, start a company. So what someone has asked is that, is it recommended to purchase investment properties in your name or open or start a company? Like you said, what is the benefit or risk analysis? So basically you can buy a company in your name. That's...
Yeah, you create the company in your name, right? And then the asset sits in the company's name. And that's it. You're not putting your name out there. Like for US based individuals, right? The difference is if you put it in your personal name versus your company, all of your credit history is going to be reflected on that property. It's going to be on your credit. If you put it in a company, it's now considered a commercial property. It's a business asset, and it does not go on your personal credit. So that's a huge benefit as far as taxes and a lot of other things. But
Right. And finally, Mr. Trump.
it's a coin flip. I really don't know what's going to happen. I feel like, half of the people are saying there's good things that are happening and are going to happen, and half of the people are saying there's going to be negative things that are going to happen. My feeling is things are only going to get better in the United States at this point. So it's definitely a good time to invest. The last time he came into presidency, anyone who invested in anything made money, and a lot of it. So
That's what we
the
want to
time
hear.
is now. Yeah.
Right. So Tiana, you're on the hot seat now. And you can tack on the Trump answer maybe at the end of your question. So the questions for you basically are to do with void periods. How do you ensure steady rental income, property management? What are the issues around there, considering people will be investing or, from a distance in Nigeria? How best should they go about doing that? And I don't know if you can talk about tax implications, or that is for Filipp or Remi. Don't know.
So the tax implications may be for Philip. So I'll put that in his lap. But as far as property management and understanding what that would entail, I would always advise the client or the customer or the interested party to do their research on the demand for that area if they were considering investing for management purposes. But also, there are property management companies that I work with in collaboration where that's the only thing that they do. They understand what the current laws are. So that's another thing that you would want to have some information on as far as what restrictive laws are now taking place, because that's always ongoing, especially with short-term rentals being a trend in recent years. And so you want to see what restrictive laws are in place for newer developments. Let's just say, for example, Shalom Park. Now, the developer will be in control of the community until a certain percentage of ownership has taken place, and then it will be turned over to the community to make sure that certain conditions or covenants are in place. And so if you are an owner within that development, you can make those decisions and say, hey, we are allowing rentals up to a certain cap, or we're being more restrictive and no one can rent out. But you definitely want to get those things outlined prior to investing or purchasing a property, and understanding what the local laws are, because it does dial down to a local level and not just like a state level when it comes to be managing property and what all of that entails. To answer the question on our on our president that's coming into office, I will say that it should have a positive impact on our real estate market. I can't speak outside of that, but historically, it's always been about the green. So I can see interest rates easing, as well as, I mean, you can never forecast these things to a T, but you can see that they want the market to do positively, because it boils down to the green. It boils down to money, and the economy is driven by real estate. And so you look at the infrastructure development, they want that to do positively. So as Philip mentioned, now is the time. Now is the time to buy and get out there before some really, really great opportunities happen. And then there's a huge demand and you can't get in. So.
Right. So before we leave you, Tiana,
Mhm.
the other question that is coming is looking at the kind of rents you would expect vis-a-vis your mortgage payments or your interest payments. Could you speak to that? What kind of rental income should one expect?
So rental income, as far as, and I'll just keep using Shalom Park as an example. So you purchase the property right under $2 million. As Philip mentioned, he can give you what that would look like after the down payment of 30% down. But typically within that market, you can look at, and with newer developments, you can look at upwards of $15,000 in US dollars per month and on. Plus, to sometimes with short-term rentals, you could get potentially $50,000 at times. And don't quote me on those numbers, but people have extenuating circumstances where oftentimes these numbers are coming in strong. Where, Atlanta has a big, big entertainment industry where that the film industry has come in. You have Tyler Perry Studios. They have actors come into, and they need to stay for periods of time. So that's when you get those higher dollar amounts at $50,000 per month or even $25,000 per month. So you do that and you calculate it against that mortgage, and hey, you paid your mortgage for quite a few months on in. And so, Philip, what would that, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what would that
Yeah,
look
yeah.
like?
Um,
If your
yeah, yeah.
buyers were
Okay.
putting.
Yeah. So for example, if you're buying the property for just, let's say $2 million, right?
Mhm.
70% is what the bank will finance. So that's 1.4 million. All right. If you do the calculation, 1.4 million, the payment on that on a monthly basis is roughly around 10,000 a month. So include, taxes and insurance. Let's say that's 12,000 a month, right? So all in, if you're collecting $15,000 a month, which you should be on a property like this, at least you're positively cash flowing $3,000 a month extra, getting your mortgage paid for, and have a property that appreciates in value every day. So it's literally the best money can buy, and it grows tax free. And I know I'm not a tax attorney. I can't speak much to that kind of stuff, but Remi has been an investor for a long period of time, and he knows all of the tax benefits, and I'm sure he could speak a little bit to that. But yeah, I mean, even in this situation, this development is a great opportunity for anybody who has money and wants to invest in the United States. This development is going to be top notch for sure.
And Philip and I can walk you or anyone through the process if they were looking at other opportunities to invest in. So it just doesn't have,
Absolutely.
yeah, it doesn't have to be this particular development, although this is great. It's a great time to come in on it. But if that was, beyond your ability financially, then there are opportunities that exist where we would be able to definitely point you in the right direction and guide you through those decisions. Because, of course, guidance through emotional and financial decisions is also what we are experts at and enjoy doing, so that you can feel confident
We're
in
yeah,
your purchase.
we're here to make you succeed. That's our
Mhm.
goal. That's
Uh,
it.
Thank you, Philip. So we're back to Remi now because quite a few balls have been batted to him. And there's the first and most interesting question that I have, apart from those from the other panelists, is there a special discount for your Nigerian brothers? Is there a Nigerian discount if we are from Nigeria? But I mean, basically, what the chap is saying is if he buys multiple units, is there a deal to be done? The second question is if since Shalom Park is off plan, and Tiana did sort of refer to this, once it's completed, what kind of bump can you see in the value of the property, right? The third and final question for you, well, not final, is yes. So we're speaking to Atlanta and so on, but could you speak to other parts of the country where perhaps you have experience in terms of their real estate market as well?
All right, thanks, Mr. Davies. You may have to just help me out with the questions. I didn't write them down, but let's take the last question first. So, I'm based in New York, and I've been in New York for like 25 years. Um, but we majority of our business right now is in Georgia. So we keep saying Atlanta, but Atlanta is just it's the capital of Georgia. So Georgia is huge. It goes all the way to Florida. It shares a border with different states. So why I went to somewhere like Georgia is because in the Northeast, which is like New York, Chicago, all the big cities, the average house on Long Island here in New York is about $600,000. But you could still get away today with $180,000, $200,000, $250,000 house, and even a little cheaper in Georgia, in different parts of Georgia. So while Shalom Park, Buckhead is a $2 million type, but that's what Buckhead is. You still also have, like Tiana was saying, houses for $200,000. I mentioned the ones we have in Valdosta for $250,000, and we've now moved to. We have a substantial presence in Alabama, where we have houses from 125,000 to 180,000. So if you're looking for houses under $200,000, we have Alabama. I would like to say this. This is one of the things as a Nigerian that I have been able to figure out in the US. We must be professional to get professional results. So what we have tried to do is build a team. We have Tiana, who is an expert. So I could try and sell all these houses myself and do all these things myself, but we have Tiana. That's her narrow expertise, and she's good at it. Then we have Filipp, who's the bank guy. And then I have someone, Mr. Gold, who works with a lot of our Nigerian clients. He's a certified public accountant. We call them chartered accountants in Nigeria. He's a CPA. So even though I have knowledge of tax-related issues, I just don't talk about them. I'll just say, look, talk to Mr. Gold. If you want to know about banking, I'll say talk to Filipp. If you want to know about the buying of the house, talk to Tiana. And that's one of the things I really want this webinar to help us with. The reason a lot of people that are non-US citizens and also US citizens get burnt is they're always looking for what they call a good deal, the too good to be true, the unbelievable. They're selling houses in Detroit for $500. I don't know Detroit. I don't do business in Detroit. If you called me today and asked me about Detroit, I'll say, hey, I only know Georgia and Alabama. And of course, I know New York. So for now, these are the three states that I specialize in. If you come to us, we can't say everything online because we don't have the time. I will point you. So what is the Nigerian discount? The Nigerian discount is that you have me. You have somebody that has an investment in Nigeria, somebody that grew up in Nigeria, has roots in Nigeria, has family in Nigeria. I'm not disappearing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running away with anybody's money, that can point you to an accountant. If we're talking about you want to open a corporation, I don't open corporations. I can do it. I'll send you to Mr. Gold. If you tell me you need somebody that wants to show you something, I'll send you and I'll point you in the right direction and tell you the truth. That's the guarantee that we have. And then when you call, then there'll be a deal to be made. You know, we're in this as a business, not to hurt you, but to get you that benefit. So that takes care of that. Just ensure that you work with a good team and people that have your best interests, and they're not working out of a briefcase. They're working out of, you know, legitimate offices. So that's the third question. Please, could you refresh me on the on the other question?
Yes. So the question on tax and then on capital appreciation as it's an off-plan property.
Yes. So what happens everywhere in the world, and I'll use even Nigeria, is let's say you're building a development anywhere, and you want to build 50 houses. The guys that come in off plan, let's say the houses were, let's use Naira, 100 million Naira when they started. By the time that development is completed, that house may be sold for 140 million. So the guys, in fact, the work we do, Tiana and I are doing a project now. It's a multi-million-dollar house we just completed. The developer suffers more than the guy that has cash. If you have cash and you don't want the stress, just go in at the beginning, pre-construction sales. By the time you are done, so let's say this is a $1.9 million investment and you buy it now. By the time the development is done, it may be 2.2 million. It may be retailing at 2.5.
Yep.
Because demand is demand. There's no other space. There's no vacant land that I know of in the Garden Hills area of Buckhead today. We are the ones that own the only land that is there now. And we started construction. If you are going to build in that neighborhood, you're going to buy a house, and then you're going to pull down the house. And by the time you're done, it's going to cost significantly more. So it's always better it's not a risk. And it happens everywhere in the world. If you're in Chevron, if you're in a Qatar, anywhere they're doing a development, you come in early, you get the capital appreciation. Number two, I always try and tell people to be wary of looking just for income. Real estate for me is not an income gain. It's a capital appreciation gain. Income is a bonus. If you are only income driven, maybe you are not ready for true real estate investment. What do I mean by that? You get a mortgage, your mortgage is $2,000, your rent is $2,500. What happens if the tenant doesn't pay rent and something happens, you have to evict? You've lost the $2,000 and you are stressing yourself out. So there are the ups and downs, repairs, renovations, and we have to be upfront with you. I could sell you cherries and say, oh, this is fantastic. No, real estate is tough. The people that deserve to make money know that there are losses that are out there. But the point with real estate is that you bought that house for $200,000 in 2015. That house in 2025 is now worth $400,000. So whatever the challenges you had, you are still on an upward trajectory. This is the truth. Anything that is too good to be true is exactly what it is, too good to be true. So we're not here to try and sell to you at all costs. We're just telling you there are opportunities for you in the United States of America to safeguard your investments and diversify your portfolio. And if it's a good fit for you, wonderful. If it's not, then you shouldn't venture in that direction. It's really for big boys and big girls. It's tough, but ultimately it's profitable.
Thank you. So the question about tax still persists, and I think maybe I can break it down. I would assume on the income you make from tax from the property, there should be some tax obligations. And I'll assume that when you sell it, at least in the jurisdiction we're in, there's I think capital appreciation tax something along those lines. I think that's what the
Okay. All right.
question.
Yes, I'll tackle it. So what we do as a team, and I'll just talk broadly, then I'll tell you what I just sort of explained, but I don't want it to be lost in translation. When you buy a property in the US, we have what they call property tax. So depending on the neighborhood, depending on the price of the house, depending on the assessment, depending on the town, there's a tax. So let's say you bought a house in South Fulton, a one-family house, the tax could be $2,000 a year. That you have to pay every year. Then you have to pay homeowners insurance. When you buy a house, you have to insure the house just like you insure your car from fire, from look at what is going on in California, so that God forbid something happens, you'll be able to rebuild the house. We have hurricanes, we have things like that, so you have to have homeowners insurance. Now, the tax that I know that people are talking about is the corporate taxes. And like Philip and Tiana said, I would suggest if you are a foreign national, you incorporate a company in the US, and so you must now retain, this is the key. The services will refer you to my accountant is Mr. Gold, will refer you to an accountant that is familiar with real estate, and then they will tell you how whatever your income is, you take out the expenses, they do the devaluation, they do all these things. And as you make money, you file taxes every year. They are able to have deductibles for several things, all your expenses. You may not actually physically have to pay a lot of money. And like you said, Mr. Davis, correctly, on the exit, if you decide to sell the house, it's wonderful. You bought the house $200,000, and it's wonderful 5 years or 10 years later, you're selling it for $400,000. That means you made a profit of $200,000. America doesn't play with their taxes. You are not going home with the $200,000, but you need a good accountant that will help you ensure that everything that you can deduct from that seeming $200,000 profit is deducted. So at the end, you may be taxed on the capital appreciation of whatever it is. But again, because this is not my area of expertise, if you come on board with us, we will now introduce you to an accountant, and you can get your own accountant, and then that person will walk you through all the detailed questions that you may have. But I always suggest that you have an attorney, you have a banker, you have a realtor, you have a developer or investor like myself, and you have an accountant.
Fantastic. Excellent. I think that should speak to most people, and I think if we want to put it all in, is it can be it cannot be a general question. It has to be specific to your investment, to your circumstances, and so on and so forth. But very key is to have the right expert or the right professional guiding you through the whole process, which Remi can help with. The next question is one which speaks to a fair number of Nigerians. How does owning property work in getting a green card? Is there any correlation?
All right, I can speak to that really quickly. There's special visas that are investment based, and what I think they're called EB5. I think it's the EB5 visa. It's a special investor visa. Again, and I'm not avoiding the question. I'm saying that I would say you have to speak to an immigration attorney. But the broad knowledge that we have, these visas are specialized and they are programs. So let's say somebody's building a Sheraton hotel, they can designate it an EB5 type of project. And the minimum investment you need to get into that is, I think, about $500,000. So for you, if you're looking for real estate as an immigration solution, then you have to get an immigration attorney, get one of those projects that are already approved for a green card. And what ends up happening is you have what is called fractional ownership. You're not going to own it. So let's say a company, let's say Shalom wanted to go in that direction. We'll start a project, and would apply for the EB5. And once it's designated an EB5 project, we will now say, hey, we want to raise $50 million, and you come in with $500,000 minimum. So you can buy 10 shares, 5 shares, you come into that project, and you would get your green card, and it's done. But we don't do that. We are strictly real estate developers that are doing just real estate investment. So anyone that wants to use it, even for visas, some people ask me all the time, if I own a house in the US, can I apply for a visa? And my answer always is, although I know it could help, but I don't say that. I'll just say, look, I'm a real estate investor. We only specialize in selling houses. We make no representations whatsoever about any immigration related issues. You will be wise to consult an immigration attorney. If you want me to refer a few to you, we would refer them to you so that you can, get the expertise. You see, I've become American like that. So the disclaimer.
Right. Fantastic. I think we've covered virtually all the areas, because in speaking, a number of questions were answered. So someone is asking if Bucket is off plan and how they handle financing for the off plan. And I think that has been answered, but do you want to speak a bit more to it, whether Tiana or Remi?
Yeah, Philip. Maybe Philip should. Philip, in an off-plan development, are you able to finance um, off-plan developments? Almost like technically, it would be like a construction loan.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
Okay, so let me speak to what I think the bottom line on the question is. It's off plan, but it's under construction. Our goal is by the end of 2025 they will be built. And so what we tell people is, if you wanted to come in, you could sign a contract for a new construction. We do that all the time in the US. So you are not paying for the house now. You are putting down a down payment. You are signing the contract. So the developer, if you're buying at 1.9, because you signed and you put down a down payment, there'll be a penalty if you say you don't want to go ahead anymore. But you've now secured that price. So by the time the house is built, if we start selling for 2.5, you'll be one of the blessed ones to get the house for 1.9. But you wouldn't pay in full until the house is built. You'll just have a new construction contract. So you could go to a Philip and they would say, okay, no problem. When the house is built, we sign an agreement, we give you a commitment that will give you the loan. And while we're talking about loans, I just don't want to limit ourselves to finance. I know there are a lot of Nigerians out there that have cash and that are able to buy houses. In fact, the property Tiana and I just closed on was bought for 1.175 million, all cash. And it was a new construction. We're delivering the property towards the end of this month by the grace of God. So the important thing is, sort of to round up on my end, and then I'll let everybody else speak, is, look, there's an opportunity to invest in the US. We can't answer all the questions on this 1.5 hour or 2 hour webinar. We've given you as much information as I think will pique your interest. Our telephone numbers, I think it's 404 535 9355. If you have registered, we will send you even more information so that you'll be able to reach Tiana, myself, or Philip. And we're not only developing high-end homes. We have properties that have tenants that you could just buy and to be a turnkey operation. We believe that real estate is the bedrock of building generational wealth. And any questions that you have, my Nigerian discount is that I would not charge you per hour for consulting with me. I will consult with you for free. I will talk to you for free. All you have to say is that I'm a Real House Communications client, and you get that opportunity to talk to us, unlimited questions, because I want us to understand this area. Finally, Don't throw away your money. Cheap is bad. Affordable is good. If you can't afford 1.9, there are houses out there for 200,000. If you can't afford 200,000, there are houses out there for $100,000. Start where you have the ability to afford without straining yourself. Don't look for cheap deals. Look for good deals. And I believe the United States of America is the go-to place. I want to thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Davies. It's been a tremendous pleasure. And I want to commend you, Real House Communications, for what you are doing in Nigeria. Castle Magazine has been around for a long time, and you
5 years.
continue. Yes, you continue. 25?
25
Yes,
years.
yes, they continue to weather the storm in Nigeria. And Highbrow Magazine, we want to thank you. We want to thank Victory for holding fort in Lagos. And once again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you to Philip and to Tiana, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Tiana and Philip can say their goodbyes, and then I'll just round up.
So just to jump on or to piggyback off of Remi, it has been a pleasure to be on this webinar. I smile on the inside and exterior because I know how passionate Remi is about, again, putting his imprint on the American market, not just in Atlanta, where we are local, but again in Valdosta, in Alabama, in Nigeria, and all of the places that he has been to and transacted deals and things of that nature. He has been a pleasure to work with thus far. He is an integral developer and investor, and I enjoy working with people who do have the professionalism and the wisdom and the vision to be able to execute whatever God's plan is. It has been amazing to connect with Philip and also Real House Communications Limited. I am available through direct message. They will provide my information, which I'm so glad about. Oftentimes, these are not easy for me to do because it's not a face-to-face, and I'm so I'm a personable person, so I like to connect with people. But that goes back to something that I think Remi said earlier, and it reminded me of something that my father says: connections are better than money. And with this collaborative team, we are able to engage and connect you with who you need to be with in order to get you to your objective and achieve any goals that you have as it pertains to real estate or hopefully anything of that nature. So again, I'm here. Thank you, Victory. Thank you, Real House Communications. I appreciate the introduction of being on the of being on the cover of your very high-end, highbrow living magazine. I can't stop smiling. I'm grateful that you would have me. And again, Philip, it was so nice to connect with you also. So thank you again. Thank you so much. Can't thank you enough.
And Philip?
Yes, thank you very much, everybody, for attending today. It was a pleasure speaking, and I'm hopeful that everybody picked up a little bit of something that's going to be helpful for their future to, achieve their goal and financial freedom. And so thank you very much, Remi, for always being a great part of my day on a day-to-day basis, and being such a wonderful character, and being just really good at what you do. So thank you. And Tiana, thank you again for all the guidance, and Real House Communications and Victory for everything you do. And I'm here to help anybody. Again, that's my job and my goal in life, is to help individuals, achieve their goals. So contact me. I'm happy to help anytime.
Thank you, Philip. So we've come to the end of the webinar, and I think the key takeaways are that this is not a fly-by-night type operation. Investing in real estate does not bring automatic gains. It requires information. It requires investigation. And for us in Real House and Highbrow Living, the idea is to bring credible and competent personalities to start you on your journey, not so much as to conclude the journey for you. And I think Remi has put it in perspective by directing you as to what your next steps should be. This recording will be available to you. The contacts of the speakers will also be sent to you, as well as maybe a brief write-up of what was discussed. But the key for you is for you to now take this information and make it specific to you and do your own due diligence, and will be able to make a success of your real estate investment journey. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Is tuning in the right word? Or signing in and listening to our great speakers. And I think it's the right time to declare the webinar closed. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your Saturday. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.